Hello, welcome back to RetroBreak and welcome to yet another Game Boy Homebrew review. This week we're taking a look at the shoot 'em up called Genesis, which has been published by Incubate. It's got a fantastic box here and I can't wait to get into it, do an unboxing and a review of the game, but first this video is sponsored by Bifrost Bridge Studios. They've just launched their Kickstarter for their game and narrative sci-fi adventure Gaia's Seed, so definitely go and check them out using the links below and stay tuned for next week's episode as well, where they've also sent me some stuff to give away in the video itself. It's really exciting and I can't wait for you all to be in with a chance of winning some of the amazing things that they've sent over. So with that said, let's get started and let's see what Genesis is all about. So first of all, before we take a look at the gameplay, let's take a look at the packaging and see whether Incubate has done a good job or not. So as you can see, of course, as expected, the box is fantastic quality. I also love the fact that it's got this little tear strip here so you can easily peel off the plastic. And now we can take a nice look at the screenshots and the description on the back. And inside we have an instruction booklet, we have some stickers, and of course we have the game itself. And we also have that nice black inlay there which houses the cartridge, which is really nice, really high quality. And another thing I love with most of these homebrew games is the fact that they put the games in those plastic protectors. Here's the game pack. As you can see, this is a black cartridge, which I will come back to a bit later on. Looks like it's in good condition though. There's also no noticeable bend on it, so that's really good. The instruction booklet, of course, is very high quality. Unfortunately, it's only in black and white, but as the game is also in black and white, that doesn't really matter too much for this sort of release, although I would have liked to see a few colour drawings in there perhaps. And it also comes with this nice little sticker sheet, which is really cool. So I'm sure you'll agree that the packaging is top notch for this game. There is one thing, however, that did bother me a bit, and that is the fact that they decided to use a black cartridge, even though the game itself isn't Game Boy Color compatible. So I've got 3 random Game Boy games here to try and explain what I mean by that. So Solar Striker, which is an original Game Boy game, which is very similar to Genesis, is a black and white game just like Genesis, and it comes on this grey cartridge here. As you can see, Genesis is on a black one. But originally, the black cartridges, like this one here, were actually reserved for games that can play in both colour and black and white, which really threw me off because I was expecting to be able to play this in colour, but it is only in black and white. And then, of course, see-through games like this are the kind of games that are only available in colour. But for every other Game Boy release out there, if you've got a black cartridge, it should say Game Boy Color down the side, and it should be compatible with both black and white and colour. So I feel like they kind of made a mistake there, and it should have either been on a grey cartridge or they should have used some sort of special colour completely separate to mark that it's a homebrew game. So it was a little bit confusing and a little bit disappointing, but the game itself is quite fun, so let's take a look and see what the game's all about. It's a really simple, straightforward game, but it does get really challenging later on. As you can see, there was a power up there that I just picked up. I believe that is a bomb power up. That one is a stronger shot, so you can see now it only takes 1 bullet to take out those enemies where it used to take 2. And you can see that bar at the bottom slowly going down. That is the time that you've got to use the power up. So the more you use it, the faster that bar depletes. So you want to try and be a bit careful with how many bullets you fire so that you can save some of these better shots for the boss at the end of the stage. As you might have noticed, you don't really need to take out all of the enemies on the screen. Sometimes it might be better to avoid them. So here's the first boss. This is a really simple one, it just moves left and right, so as long as you're like 1 step ahead of it, you should have no problem here. And luckily, in between his bullets there's just enough of a gap for you to maneuver between them as well. So that's the first stage complete. One thing that I will say that isn't so good about this game is the fact that a lot of the enemies seem to just repeat over the different levels. So as you can see, even though this is level 2, it still features mostly the same enemies, mostly the same pickups. The only really different thing about it is the background and the music, which isn't really that great, sorry to say, but the music is kind of drony. I think that's the best way of describing it. Like, you would expect it to be a bit more upbeat for this style of game, but it's quite slow and sort of methodical. I guess it kind of matches the gameplay as well, which is also kind of slow and methodical. But yeah, the levels don't really have anything in particular that stands out about them. This could easily have been the first stage. It's not any more challenging than the first level was. There's no obstacles in the level itself that you need to worry about. It's literally just a different background. So there are a few things that I would have liked to see a bit different, such as maybe different obstacles within the level itself, such as a better variety of enemies. I mean, this boss is basically the same as the other one, except it fires 3 bullets down instead of 2. So, once again, stage 3 is basically the same as stage 1 and 2, except now there's hexagons on the floor instead. This one does feature a few more enemies, but as you can see, they don't really pose a threat because you can just stay on the side of the screen and just watch them go past. There's so few enemies that you don't really need to memorise any patterns. Like, for a while now, there's not even been any bullets on the screen. There's some. But the bullets move so slowly as well, it's very easy to dodge them. I did play Solar Striker as well before I decided to play this again, just to compare it. And although the frame rate is better in this, I'd say pretty much everything else is better in Solar Striker. It's a lot more engaging. Power-ups seem quite sparse, and it's a bit strange there's no health power-ups at all. Oh, this is like a rapid-fire one. Ah, and I'm dead. I presume there's a lives system? Oh no, there isn't a live system at all, so literally it's 1 life and then you're straight back to the start of the game. And because of how simple the game is and how long it takes to get to a point where the game becomes challenging, I can't really see myself trying to actually complete this. Let me know if any of you guys have actually picked this game up. Let me know whether I'm being fair on it down in the comments below. So there was a quick look at the gameplay. I'm sorry that the frame rate on that capture wasn't quite 100%, so while I'm talking through the rest of this video, I'll actually play some gameplay that I captured earlier on my gaming PC, which is actually inaccessible right now, which is kind of why the footage wasn't great just then. Basically, to sum up what I was saying there, it's a fun game, but it's very simple, and I don't really think it's worth paying full price for. You can probably complete the game in about half an hour if you're really good with the stages, and it doesn't really have that much replay value because the actual time that it takes to get through the game to a point where it actually becomes challenging isn't really worth replaying, because you do spend about the first 15 minutes of the game kind of aimlessly, mindlessly going forwards. And it's not really that much of a challenge, and the fact that there's no options whatsoever, there's no sort of variation in the speed of the ship that you can choose, there's no difficulty settings, there's no level select, there's nothing to unlock. It very much is play it once and then kind of be done with it and just display it on the shelf kind of thing, which is a little bit disappointing. I was kind of hoping for something a little bit bigger, considering this is one of their first proper commercial releases. But once again, it was still a fun game, and I think you will get some enjoyment from it, and what they've done with the packaging is first class as well. So let me know what you thought of the game down in the comments below. Let me know whether you actually picked it up yourselves. Here's a sneak peek for another Game Boy Homebrew game that I'll be reviewing very soon called Asteroid Chasers, and this is a really interesting one. I'll save most of it for the full game, but actually this is a mix of a Game Boy game and a board game in one, so I'm really excited to give that one a go. Thank you all so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, consider checking me out on Patreon and joining all of the people at the bottom of the screen right here. Subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next week for the next episode. Goodbye!